What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? So we got a lot to talk about in this video. Luis Castillo signing an extension with the Seattle Mariners. Spencer Strider going to the IL. How will that affect the National League East race? We have the Dodgers going with a bullpen by committee approach. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. And Tony La Russa not coming back this season. I'm going to talk about that as well. But before I do get started, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Hit the like button, the bell button, the share button. Hit all the buttons. So let's start off here. Luis Castillo and the Mariners coming to an agreement on an extension. A 5-year, $108 million deal. I mean, honestly, what a great deal for the Mariners. I mean, Luis Castillo, if this guy hit the open market, you have to figure this guy was going to get a lot more money than what he got here. This is around, what, like 21, 22 million a year. This is a guy definitely could get 25, 30 on the open market. Absolutely, he could. Luis Castillo, he has been fantastic for the Mariners. He's having himself a really good season. 23 starts, a 2.85 ERA, 3.07 FIP, right around 10 strikeouts per 9, 2.5 walks per 9, under a home run per 9. He completely changed the entire Mariners rotation. He changed the game when he showed up here, because you already had a pretty decent rotation, but it felt like it was missing that top dog of a guy in that rotation. I mean, you did have guys like Logan Gilbert, George Kirby came up. He's been fantastic. But, you know, the big signing of Robbie Ray in the offseason, when they did that signing, I figured, you know, to me, Robbie Ray, yes, he did win the Cy Young last year, but he was home run prone a little last year. Some of the advanced numbers weren't looking as great as some of the surface numbers. So to me, I saw Robbie Ray as more of like a number 2 in a rotation. And when you add someone like a Luis Castillo to this rotation alongside Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Robbie Ray, and a Marco Gonzalez, all of a sudden, this rotation just looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, the fact that when you look at the payroll for the next few years, you obviously signed Robbie Ray to a long-term deal. You have Marco Gonzalez signed up for another couple of years after this. And now you got Luis Castillo, and you got these younger guys in the rotation with Gilbert and Kirby. And then you got some guys down in the minor leagues. Don't forget about Emerson Hancock. They drafted him first overall in the 2020 draft, having himself a pretty decent season in the minor leagues at AA, a 3.75 ERA. I definitely think, you know, maybe some more strikeouts with him could be nice, but he's not walking a lot of guys. So I think Emerson Hancock, this is a guy that definitely could be in the rotation at some point down the road. You know, you got guys like Bryce Miller who have shot up the leaderboards here. You know, Taylor Dollard as well. When it comes to Taylor Dollard, he's having himself a really good season at AA. 27 starts, a 2.25 ERA. I mean, those are fantastic numbers. So the Mariners, they are looking really nice for the next few years, man. This pitching is going to be great. The bullpen has always been looking really good. Don't forget about Matt Brash, too. You know, what's going to end up being the plan with him? Could you have him go back to starting? Could you just keep him in the bullpen? Whatever it is, the Mariners, they're looking rather nice. But speaking of bullpens, let's talk about the Dodgers. So, Craig Kimbrel, they made the trade with A.J. Pollock in the offseason to get Craig Kimbrel. You know, Craig Kimbrel, when he was with the Cubs, you know, when he was with my Red Sox, absolutely dominant at times. But man, oh man, that guy gave me a heart attack sometimes. But Craig Kimbrel, he definitely struggled when he went to the Cubs initially. And then after that, he started to get himself back on track. This guy was absolutely dominant. And then he went to the White Sox, and then the wheels came off the tracks a little bit. But Craig Kimbrel, going to the Dodgers this year, it's been up and down. He's had some good moments, but at the same time, he's had some pretty rough ones as well. Taking a look at his numbers overall, as you can see here on Fangraphs, they have him in a middle relief role. So they're right now not even considering having him close. Now, his FIP is better at a 3.22 than the ERA, but he's just been too unreliable in this role. His strikeouts are way down. If you take a look here, 2020, 16 and a half strikeouts per 9. Last year, 15 per 9. I mean, this is a career low for him. He's just not striking guys out. Guys are seeing the ball way better off of him. His velocity is actually down a smidge. If you take a look here, 2020, he was averaging around 97 miles an hour on the fastball. Now down to 95.9. So Kimbrel is starting to become a little bit more hittable. And the Dodgers at this point, they just don't find him very reliable in this role. So they're going to go with a closer by committee approach, or the bullpen by committee, or whatever you want to call it. So you got guys like Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia, Brusdar Graterol, Chris Martin. Now, sure, these are all, you know, pretty solid relievers, but in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, I went through the 2003 Red Sox. I saw how that closer by committee approach went, and it was not fun. I mean, he had some pretty solid guys. You know, you had guys like Mike Timlin, you had Alan Embry, you had Chad Fox, you had Scott Williamson in there, but there was never really that one guy. And you know, you're probably thinking, well, if everyone's good here, then what's the problem? Well, the problem is, to me, I'm a big believer in roles in a bullpen. When you got your roles set up, that's what you're comfortable with. You know what you're going to do, most likely going into each and every game. You know, maybe some middle relief guys can have a little more versatility, but I've been a traditional guy when it comes to having your setup guys, having your 7th, 8th inning guys, and then you have your 9th inning guy. So to me, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how this goes. To me, I mean, I don't know. End of games. I mean, I've always loved Brusdar Graterol's stuff, man. When I thought we were going to get Brusdar Graterol on the Mookie Betts trade, I was pretty excited about this because this is a guy who has a 100-mile-an-hour sinker, big-time fastball. You know, this is definitely a guy where he has just got explosive stuff at the end of games. The problem with Brusdar Graterol, he just doesn't strike out a lot of guys. More of a ground ball kind of a guy. I'm not really a fan of guys that give up ground balls, you know, as your closer. Now, you got someone like a Chris Martin who you just recently acquired this season. You know, Chris Martin has actually been really solid, and he actually has some pretty good strikeout numbers as well. I would not mind seeing Chris Martin getting more save opportunities here. I think he could actually be pretty good. And then you have Alex Vesia. That's a lefty guy. I think you could maybe use him more, you know, bring him in those late inning situations, you know, lefty on lefty and whatnot. And then you got someone like Evan Phillips as well. With Evan Phillips, the numbers are really good. Over 60 games, a 1.22 ERA, 2.13 FIP. Just like Chris Martin, some pretty decent strikeout numbers as well. I would like to see maybe Evan Phillips, Chris Martin get the brunt of it. Brusdar Graterol, I just don't think he gets enough strikeouts to really be that closer. If he can find a way to get some strikeouts, man, I think Brusdar Graterol could absolutely be a closer of the future. But for now, I'm a little, I don't know. When I'm looking at this Dodgers bullpen now, looking at a closer by committee approach, again, maybe I got some PTSD here from the 2003 Red Sox. I'm just not a fan of it. I like guys in their roles, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the postseason goes. You know, which guy would they lean more towards? So Dodger fans, let me know down below in the comments, you know, which pitcher would you want to be getting the majority of the save opportunities? But speaking of strikeouts, let's talk about Spencer Strider with the Atlanta Braves. This guy has just been an absolute phenomenon this year. Spencer Strider has been out of his mind, but going on the IL with an oblique strain, looking like he should be good to go for the postseason. I do think that is the right move. You know, don't try and, you know, force something out of this guy. You know, just kind of let him do his thing, get to the postseason healthy. But this guy has just been absolutely disgusting this year. 11-5 record, a 2.67 ERA over the 20 starts, 30 games overall. Looking at his FIP here, a 1.83 FIP. He's got around 14 strikeouts per 9. This guy is absolutely nasty. You see a lot of comparisons with Jacob deGrom. Man, you know, tough loss here, but now we have a tight National League East right now. As of right now, the Mets are 96-57. The Braves are 94-58, a game and a half out in front of the Braves. Now, I've been on the record saying I think the Braves are built more to win this division when it was a couple weeks ago when it was really close there. But now that you're losing Spencer Strider for the rest of the regular season, I think this definitely puts a dent in the Braves' chances, you know, to try and get this done, especially with the Mets. You got Scherzer, you got deGrom pitching healthy. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think right now this is the Mets' division to lose, especially losing a big-time guy like that in Spencer Strider. I don't know. The Braves fans, let me know how you're feeling down below in the comments. You know, do you think you got a chance here to win this National League East even without Strider? Now, if you take a look at the Braves rotation, you got guys like Fried and Wright who are having great seasons. But then, I don't know. Morton, I do like Charlie Morton as well, but I don't know. I just think with a guy like Strider, with that stuff that he has, and you're losing someone like that for the last couple of weeks of the season, I don't know. I think this is the Mets division to lose now, so we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. But speaking of losing guys, Tony La Russa will not return as the White Sox manager this year. I mean, I've been on the record saying, hey, keep this guy away. When he left, initially, the White Sox started playing a lot better without him. You know, if it's a health issue, I do wish the best for Tony La Russa. I hope him a full recovery, whatever it is. I hope he's doing well. But as of right now, with the White Sox, I mean, if we take a look here at the standings at the moment, the White Sox are now 9 games back. I mean, they're pretty much done now. It's pretty much over. The Guardians have just completely taken over this division. This is a huge disappointment this year. The Chicago White Sox, I can't believe it. You know, was a team coming into this year with a lot of talent, good starting pitching, good offense, good bullpen. I mean, it's just crazy to see this. And the Guardians, they just came out of nowhere this year. I thought the Guardians this year would be a competitive team. A lot of people laughed at me for that. And but here we are now, the Guardians right here with a stranglehold on this division. But with Tony La Russa, I do think this experiment has failed. I don't think it was really I just don't think it was the right situation. In a way, I kind of liked it because I liked that you were bringing in a veteran guy, but it did just feel kind of out of place at the time. It just felt like Tony La Russa, you know, that time had come and gone for him, but it kind of felt like they tried to just force it. It felt like more of an ownership kind of a move, but in the end, I thought maybe it could have been good, but at the end of the day, it's a different game. He did stick around in the game. It's not like he just went away, you know, forever. He was still working in front offices and whatnot, so he was still used to the analytical approaches. But I don't know, just some questionable calls over the last couple of years. And to me, honestly, my personal opinion, I don't think Tony La Russa is going to come back as the White Sox manager. I think they're going to move on. I think it's just going to be a mutual parting here. I don't think we're going to see Tony La Russa back in 2023. As of right now, Miguel Cairo, who is the bench coach, he's going to serve as the manager for the rest of the season. But in the end, you have to think here, this was a disappointing run here for the White Sox and Tony La Russa, considering the talent that they had on this team. You figure maybe Tony La Russa could have been that final ingredient, that missing piece to get the White Sox to that, you know, that American League Championship Series, maybe to a World Series. So in the end, I don't think La Russa is going to be back, and we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with the White Sox manager situation in the offseason. But everyone, that is all I have for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below on all the subjects that I covered, and I'll talk to you next time.